Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. When the movie The Passion of the Christ came out in 2004, there was a lot of discussion about it. The movie presented Jesus' suffering and death in powerful, dramatic, and sometimes gruesome ways. Some people chose not to see it because they just didn't want to see the portrayal of Jesus' agony and some of the realities of crucifixion that were presented. It's the part of the movie that everyone talked about, except me. We are moving on into Advent now, with Christmas only a few weeks away. We are in that time of waiting, hoping, and longing for a Savior. We are in that time of anticipation of our Savior's arrival. So our theme for this week is anticipating Advent. We are anticipating a Savior, and it's a time of anticipation. This week we are going to look at some Bible stories that you might never have thought about connecting to Advent, but they are stories that reflect the looking for, the longing, the waiting, and the hope for God's Savior to come. Today we want to begin in the beginning, and that brings us back to the movie The Passion of the Christ. I began today by commenting that many people didn't want to see the portrayal of the crucifixion in all its drama and gruesome detail. On the other hand, I think seeing something like that helps us understand and appreciate the depth of Jesus' love for us. Nevertheless, that wasn't the part of the movie that most captured my attention when I saw it. Rather, I was captivated by the opening scene in the movie as it begins with Jesus praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. You know the story, how the disciples sleep while Jesus prays to avoid the cross. In the movie, as Jesus is praying, Satan appears to tempt Jesus away from following God's plan, and for a time it appears to be working. Slowly, a snake slithers out of Satan's robe and winds its way over to Jesus, who has fallen to the ground in agonized prayer. Closer and closer the snake comes to Jesus, and just as it is about to touch him, Jesus rises from the ground and stares resolutely at Satan. Then Jesus picks up his foot and smashes it down, crushing the head of the snake. As soon as that happens, you hear the sounds of the soldiers coming to arrest Jesus. This scene captures my imagination because I was surprised to see that for once in Hollywood, they got it something right. Not that that scene in the movie is described in any of the Gospels other than Jesus praying and the disciples sleeping. But you see, it reflects an ancient promise of God, something called the Proto-Evangelicum, the first hint of the Gospel in the Bible. In the Garden of Eden, after Adam and Eve have partaken of the forbidden fruit, God finds them. God still loves and cares for them, but there are consequences of their disobedience. They will have to leave their garden paradise and other things, but the key is found as God speaks to the serpent who tempted them. God says, "Because you have done this, cursed are you among all animals, and among all wild creatures. Upon your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will strike your head, and you will strike his heel." That last part, found in Genesis 3:15, is the first hint of the gospel in the Bible. The serpent strikes the heel, but the human crushes the serpent's head. Evil may strike, but it is not fatal. The victory over evil is final and complete. It's profoundly important. Here we see that, in the midst of despair, when all seems lost for Adam and Eve, hope is found. Hope is born in the very moment of failure. God does not abandon God's creation, and instead God whispers redemption and ultimate victory. God's eternal plan of redemption begins right then. In Genesis 3, we see the very beginning of the story that leads to Bethlehem. Even in humanity's darkest moment, God plants a seed of hope, a promise that one day the serpent will be crushed and salvation will come. Today, as we anticipate, today as we hope, hold on to the promise spoken long ago in the garden. God's plan of restoration and victory is underway. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.